It starts with a sound like no other. Followed by a juicy burst of sweet, refreshing flavor. Washington apples, known the world over for their consistent crispness and quality, for their shape, color, and beauty, and safe, nutritious appeal. But what's it take to produce a Washington apple? A world-class apple that is so good, no other apple comes close. At the top of the list is a bountiful supply of pure, clean water collected from mountaintops, streams, and rivers that form the mighty Columbia River, and delivered using a complex network of irrigation pumps and canals. Abundant, pure water that, when combined with soil rich in volcanic ash, yields a growing medium that is optimal for producing sweet, crispy apples. Life-giving water that turns a desert terrain and climate to one ideal for pest-free fruit and ideal growing conditions that are perfect for yielding world-class apples. With 4 well-defined seasons, our apple trees get the climatic changes they need to produce high-quality fruit. Long, warm, sunny days and crisp, cool summer nights provide ideal conditions in Washington to produce 15 billion apples a year, enough to circle the globe 29 times. But this impressive harvest wouldn't take place without the helpful hands of caring apple growers, conscientious stewards of the land. Nearly every process in the growing, harvesting, and packing is done by hand, with a mindful eye on maintaining the highest quality through every phase. Our apple growers take great pride in what they do, most with generations of expertise and skill in producing top-grade apples. While holding firm to farm values of being independent stewards of their land and raising quality, wholesome fruit, they are modern innovators in finding ways to improve quality and yield. The care and nurturing of the new apple crop starts in the winter. While the trees are dormant, the growers are far from it. They're busy making plans for new spring plantings and pruning their mature trees so light can reach the buds. When spring has sprung, the swollen buds burst open and the orchards come alive in a sea of blossoms. But early spring in Washington is fickle, and the vulnerable blossoms sometimes need protection from those frosty mornings that threaten to destroy the delicate blossoms. Large wind machines help circulate the air, moving warmer layers of air down to keep the tender young flowers from freezing. As abundant as the blossoms are, not all blossoms yield the same quality fruit. The king blossom is the strongest in a cluster, blooms 2 to 3 days earlier, and produces the largest, best fruit. To keep the tree from expending its energy on lesser quality fruit, once the king blossom is pollinated, side blossoms are removed or treated with a harmless, bee-friendly spray that keeps them from being pollinated. And the orchards are buzzing with bees, busy at work pollinating all those king blossoms. yes, bees are our friends. And there are other insects that are our friends too. In a program called Integrated Pest Management, our apple growers reduce the use of pesticides by using good bugs to eat the bad bugs. Simple as it sounds, it took a lot of scientific research and know-how to put into practice. This and other advanced approaches to pest management, along with the arid conditions of the desert and the cold winters, keep the pest population well in control. So much so that Washington apple growers are world leaders in the reduction of spray use and implementation of safe harvest and handling processes. We also follow stringent domestic and international food safety guidelines. Our fruit growers are not only dedicated to producing sweet, crunchy, delicious apples, but apples that you can rely on as being as safe as possible. This dedication can be witnessed in every phase of apple production to deliver consistent, high quality. As harvest time approaches, apples are closely monitored for sugar content to ensure they are ready for picking. Timing is everything. Pick too soon, and they won't be sweet. Pick too late, and they'll be too ripe. Crispness levels are also measured using pressure standards to ensure that great crunch you expect from Washington apples. That's why Washington apples can be trusted to always be bigger, sweeter, juicier, crispier, and as being as safe as possible. When the apples are ready for harvest, an army of pickers quickly move in to hand-pick the apples at their peak. Apples ripen quickly, so the pickers work long hours to get the fruit off the trees, gently placing them in bins so as not to bruise them. Each bin has a barcode that identifies the apple variety and where the apples were grown. As we follow the apples to market, traceability is an important step in the process. Fortunately for the growers, with the billions of apples hanging on trees, not all the varieties of apples mature at once. First to ripen in mid-August are the galas. The gala, sweet, aromatic, and great for snacking, is the perfect apple for people on the go. The Golden Delicious harvest comes next. With its sweet flesh and tender skin, the Golden Delicious is known both as a great fresh fruit and its excellence for cooking. By September, the harvest is in full swing, starting with the Red Delicious. A longtime favorite with its distinctive 5 knobs, beautiful color, crispness, and flavor, the Red Delicious is iconic for Washington apples. The Cameos, Honeycrisp, and Braeburn join the September harvest frenzy in their beautiful red, orange, and yellow-hued glory. Cameos, sweet with a zingy crunch, hold their crispy texture for long periods. The Honeycrisp is a relative newcomer with excellent flavor, tangy sweet, and yes, crispness for that great crunch. And the Braeburn, one of the larger varieties, both sweet and tart, is great for snacks or in salads, a fall picnic delight. Rounding up the apple harvest in the cool month of October are Fuji's, Granny Smith's, and Crips Pink. The exotic Fuji is a true dessert apple, which some call the eating apple of the 21st century. The tart, tasty Granny Smith was introduced in 1972 and soon caught on with consumers. Grannies are Washington pie makers' favorite variety. Crisp Pink. Crisp fall nights bring on the bright pink color that gives the apple its name. Versatile as either a snack or baking apple, ends the apple harvest. The list of new Washington apple varieties, like the industry itself, continues to grow. Some are sweet, some tart, some are both. Yet they all have one thing in common: the consistent high quality that consumers expect from Washington apples. Throughout the harvest season, a steady rumble can be heard up and down the valleys as trucks swiftly carry the apples out of the warm sun into cold warehouses. When they arrive, they are sampled for sweetness and crispness to determine when they'll best be ready for market. Again, barcodes are scanned to track the apples and maintain a record for quality and safety. The apples that are highest in sugar are placed in refrigerated storage rooms and held for immediate packing and sales. The rest are set aside in sealed controlled atmosphere storage rooms, or CAs, where the oxygen and CO2 are controlled and the temperature is held at about 32 degrees. This slows down the apple's respiration, basically puts them to sleep until they're needed. When more apples are required for distribution, the sleeping apples are removed from the CA storage rooms and delivered to the packing facilities. Inside Washington fruit packing warehouses are some of the world's most advanced grading and sorting lines. Here, man and technology join forces to ensure quality and consistency with a minimum of handling. When the apple bins are set into the processing line, barcodes are again scanned to maintain tracking. The apples start by floating out of their bins into a gentle river of hydro-cooled water that keeps them cold and protects them from bruising. Then they're taken to sorting tables, where workers cull out the ones that aren't up to Washington standards. Though less than perfect in appearance, these apples are great for making tasty juice and applesauce. Those that make the grade continue on, gently rolling on soft brushes or rubber belts. They then move through state-of-the-art fruit processing machines, where computer-controlled cameras and scales weigh, inspect, and separate them according to internal quality standards, color, size, and shape. Incredibly, these high-tech cameras housed in the units are actually capable of detecting internal flaws and will cull them from the rest of the apples. After the apples have been meticulously washed and thoroughly dried, a very thin coat of food-grade wax is applied to each apple to help seal in the freshness and protect and restore its shine. Labels are then applied in rapid succession for easy identification in supermarket checkout lines. Now they're ready for packaging. There are two methods of packing: commit to pack and pre-size. Commit to pack is a single process that takes bins and sorts and prepares all the sizes and grades of apples and packages them accordingly. This method yields distribution-ready boxes of apples sorted by the many sizes and grades. The pre-size method involves separating the apples by size and grade, then placing them back into bins and into refrigerated storage until needed. When an order comes in for a specific size and grade of apple, these bins are brought out from storage back to the packing lines for processing and packaging. Though this method is slightly more labor-intensive, the costs can be overcome through more precise sales and packing efficiencies. Regardless of which packing method is used, or if they are bagged, placed in trays, or set in gift boxes, All are handled with special care, and all are subject to final approval by watchful Department of Agriculture inspectors, who make sure each apple meets Washington's high standards. As apple boxes are being prepared for shipping to their final destinations, another spot check is performed to ensure that the apples meet quality standards. The final step in the traceability process takes place before loading onto refrigerated trucks. As you can see, our apples can be traced from orchard to shipment using a tracking system that identifies the type of apples, where they were grown, stored, packed, and the destination where they will be delivered. Again, just another of the many safeguards that set Washington apples above the rest. It all makes good business sense to protect the pure water sources and land to grow our apples, to produce a harvest that is profitable because of its reputation for consistent quality and abundance, with a genuine concern for regeneration and investing in the future, using old tried and true methods, balanced with innovation, scientific research, and advancing technologies, and employing quality controls that meet high standards throughout the apple production. That's what it takes to produce Washington apples. Raised on 175,000 acres of fertile land, harvesting billions of apples a year, yielding over half of the fresh apples consumed in the U.S. and 90% of all U.S. apple exports, enjoyed by millions of people around the world. Washington apples. No other apple comes close.